Hey YouTube! So, you're about to watch a video of me doing a live hair tutorial and asking a ton of questions and getting a ton of answers from an awesome guest. She talks all about being a state trooper, even sort of the division that's taking place between the mistrust with our police force. We just dive into so much stuff. I can't wait for you to watch. It's about to start right now. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Do it. So in this video, I'm going to be doing a little hair tutorial. You're going to learn a lot about this gal. We're just going to answer any questions that you have, really. If you have hair and scalp questions, you're welcome to ask them, but I really want to talk about her and let her interact with you guys too. I'm sure you're going to have a ton of questions for her. She has a really cool and important job. She's almost kind of like, God, how can I explain you? You're like a beauty queen. All right, so you're a state trooper by day and a beauty queen by night, which is like the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Can you even read those comments?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
So. Yeah.
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 Do you
They're,
need to pull them?
watching. Yeah,
do you
they're
need to pull
watching.
it forward so you can if people ask questions?
They're saying hi, handsome, and hi, sweet bow.
All right,
Got
so
some fans.
does this end up being in the shot? No.
No.
So we're also filming that is real crooked. Is that still real crooked?
No.
No.
We can do that. We can do that.
We're a little tilted, but it's fine.
It'll be all right.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I cannot do, like, I am like self-proclaimed the guy that cannot do more than one thing at a time.
Well, you said that right. Yeah, I've heard you say that.
Literally, like,
So we're
impossible.
gonna have to work on
This is
today.
going to be interesting. Like, you're going to
Good.
have to control,
Okay.
like, when the moment this tool
Yeah.
goes in my hand, like,
You
the
go
ship's
mute.
yours. Yeah.
You go mute.
The ship
That's
is
okay.
yours. No, if anybody
Hi,
has questions.
everyone.
So introduce yourself and tell them who you are. I want them to get to know
Okay.
you.
I'm Alia Paramore. I am, right now I am holding the title of Mrs. South Carolina Cosmos, Mrs., so I'm married. Also a patrol sergeant for the Greenville Police. I've been in law enforcement for 14 years. And I really love what I do. I think after 14 years, people tend to get burned out, but I'm just getting started. So I'm really excited to be here. I can't believe you guys asked me to come and do this, and
Thank you for
then
coming.
also getting my hair done by Bo. Come on, y'all, it's awesome.
So
This is a great
you are.
opportunity.
So your official job title is what?
Patrol sergeant.
Patrol.
Yeah.
What does a patrol sergeant do?
So a patrol sergeant is responsible for a squad or a platoon. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for the blue hearts. I love the blue
Yes.
hearts. I'm specifically assigned to downtown, and hopefully all of you have been downtown. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. We get top 10 in so many things. Top 10 parks, top 10 downtowns. We made top 10 of one of the most desirable vacation destinations.
Best place to live.
I mean, seriously, if you want to shop, you want to eat, you want to live, we do all those things.
So
but,
you're
yeah.
over the downtown Greenville
Yes.
squad.
I have
of,
squads of, right now I've got a squad of, 7, and we're split between day shift and night shift. So if you've been downtown, you know that everything changes after day shift. So after about 7, it's a different crowd. We've got a very exciting nightlife. We've got a great entertainment district. We've got all kinds of new bars, restaurants, rooftop areas. It's just beautiful. And if you haven't seen our Falls Park at night, you really need to do yourself a favor and go check it out. Plus, we're getting a new hotel across the way. I guess the Bohemian will be done soon. And if you've been to the one in Asheville, you know
It's amazing.
it's amazing. So
I want to know, like, what in the world made you decide that you wanted to go into that career? Like,
okay,
what
so
was
Bo,
the-
you're gonna
yeah.
love this.
Oh, I can't wait. I
Okay.
cannot wait.
Okay, can you guys hear us good? Someone
Yeah,
said
can
that-
you hear us good?
Someone said the volume needs to be louder. It might be me that just needs to use my
We'll talk
outside
louder.
voice. Okay. All right, so I was initially interested in going into cosmetology school.
Really?
Yeah. my aunt did hair, and so she took me to the Academy of Hair Technology.
That's where I started.
Right. And I toured there, and everything was gonna be, that's the route I was gonna go. And I told my dad, and he said, "Oh, girl, pump the brakes. You can do hair if you want, but I want you to get your 4-year degree first." And so I said, "Okay, I'll play your game. I'll go.
Play your game.
I'll go.
Yes.
I'll go." So I went to Lander University. Go Bearcats. And I got really involved into the sociology with emphasis on criminal justice program.
All the
Really
while
loved-
you're thinking, I'm gonna just do this.
I'm gonna
and
do
go
this.
become a
I'm gonna
hairdresser.
do this. Walk across the stage, get my degree, and I'm going to hair school because that's what I really wanted to do. So I thought. And right before I graduated, we had to do an internship. And at the time, I was in class with the lieutenant of the vice division, and he said, "You really ought to do an internship with the police department." And I was like, okay. All right, I'll do it. I don't know what else to do at this point for an internship, so it sounds like it might be fun. Everyone's watched Cops, right? So we think we have an idea of what we're gonna do. So I get out there and I'm doing a ride along, and I show up in. Remember back, like, what was it, 12 years ago? The really pointy heels, like the very pointy toe.
Oh, like really pointed toe. Like
Really
your toes
pointy.
didn't
So
even
I
fit
show
in.
up. No, listen. I show up with my hair all done. I'm wearing these, really dressy pants and sweater and my pointy toe heels. And the detective that they assigned me to decided that we were going to go to the west side of Greenville. They're really the west side of Greenville.
And a lot of people are not from here.
Right. Okay. So
So
it's lower income housing. We were actually looking for a murder suspect. Well, right. So we're going into these houses, and I think they wanted to shock me. They wanted to shock me because they had already pegged me for someone who had no business.
Sure, with your pointy
Right, with my pointy toe
stilettos,
shoes, and
right.
I don't blame them. Looking back, if I were to see me coming through the door, I would probably think the same thing. So I walked in there, and they're showing me the world, a world that I had never been exposed to. And you know what? That day, I could not wait to go back the next day. There was something about being among people that I had never met. I was meeting people from all walks of life during that 6 months I did my internship. I was meeting, presidents and CEOs and, business owners and entrepreneurs, but I was also meeting people who had really fallen on hard times and who had lost their job and maybe become addicted to drugs or, just had some horrible things happen to them. And it really opened that side of me where I was really able to talk to people from all different spectrums.
Absolutely.
And I grew up in a very sheltered home life. I went to Southside Christian, go Sabres, and I never was exposed to those types of things. I mean, I worked at soup kitchens, I did this type of thing, but I never knew what their life was really like.
You were almost in a bubble.
I was in a bubble.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
in a bubble, and I think parents really try to protect their children as much as they can, and in doing so, sometimes that side of life is, it's neglected or you're not exposed to it, so you don't really know how to adapt and talk to people. We think that there's some kind of, there's something wrong with them.
And parents think that they're essentially just trying to protect you.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think
Sure.
that's entirely fair, and it's entirely necessary at times, but it's also important to tell your kids that there's another world out there. And there are people that are hurting, and there are people that have just come on hard times, and not throwing judgment and just listening to people and where they come from. And I really love that aspect of this internship. I could not get enough. So when I got out, I was just like, you know what? I know I can make more money doing hair if I'm decent at it at all. But my heart was really with the people. It just, I had to be a part of them. I had to be with them. And I just couldn't believe people got paid to do that job, which is just crazy. But I've been there ever since, 14 years, and I love it more now than the day I started.
I mean,
so it's
do
really cool.
you wake up every day, let's fast forward now to what your daily duties are and the team and squad that you represent. I mean, do you wake up every day knowing that it could be your last because of what you do for a living?
Well, and 3 years ago, we lost one of ours,
Mm.
and that was very personal. You hear of officers being killed around the country, and you're sad, and you have a moment of mourning. But when it happens to someone that you just spoke to the day before, or you have been texting, or you talk to him every time. In my case, he'd come and warm up his lunch in front of my office every day. And you just get to know them, and then all of a sudden they're violently taken, and you're thinking, okay, wait a minute, what just happened? And to speak to that point, the day that happened, my husband, who is also in law enforcement,
Is he really?
he is.
Did you guys meet?
Yes, we did.
In, oh
We did.
my
He was
gosh,
a rookie.
I love it. I
Yep.
love it.
He
was a
He was the
rookie.
rookie. He was. But the day that Alan was murdered, we were both off. And when we got the phone call, neither one of us said anything. We just jumped up and ran and put all of our gear on. And I started calling my officers in. He started getting, his stuff together, and we met in the middle. It was in like a surreal moment. And we looked at each other, and we hugged each other, and we prayed really quick. And we were like, I love you. I love you. This is real. We could be next. We don't know.
Yeah.
And
That could have been
our
us.
household is too, so it ups the chances. But it's something that we don't think about. We think about it maybe a couple times when something like that happens, but we're just a certain kind of crazy. I tell
But-
people all the
so-
time, you have to be a little bit crazy to just be so passionate about
but
that.
I think once you, whatever it was, like for you, that very
Mm-hmm.
first time you went out and you shadowed or interned
Yeah.
or whatever it was,
Yeah.
the moment it clicks and you make that decision, it just, from that point forward, that's
There's
your new
no
normal.
going back.
There is,
There's no
why would
going
you
back.
look at the negatives of any aspect of anything in
Yeah.
life?
Yeah.
But especially in the career choice, if you found that much passion from it, why would you look at the downsides of it? That makes complete sense.
You just can't. You can't live there.
Yeah.
You can visit there every now and then to kind of bring reality back
Yeah.
and say, okay, this is a possibility, but you can't stay there.
Yeah.
And that's something that I had to settle with the Lord. My mom, had been talking to other people, and they're like, aren't you scared of your baby girl? She's going to go and she's going to work the streets. And Mom said, I had to take communion over that. I had to settle it. And the Lord said, I've got her. Don't worry about it. And so my mom goes to bed and sleeps.
She has peace now.
She does have peace. And I think that's where you have to be. I could not do this job without the Lord. I don't know how people do it. There are people who do it all the time. But when we deal with the things that we deal with, the stress, the emotional stuff that we see, I got to have a place to put that.
Without being specific, because
Okay.
I know there's things you can't talk about with a
Right.
job in specific cases. Has there been one specific case that you've been on that was like just life-changing for you to be a part of?
Yes.
Like, okay.
There's
Can you
a
talk about
few.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a few. I'll use this one. One of my areas that I worked used to be called Adam Beat. It was primarily Wade Hampton, Pleasantburg, East North, that area.
Okay.
And there was a girl that lived in one of the complexes that I patrolled, and she was a runaway. She continued to run away no matter how many times, her mom would get her back, or law enforcement would get her back. She'd always turn around.
Young
and
girl,
run.
like preteen?
She was probably, when I started dealing with her, she was 12.
Wow.
She was 12.
Okay.
And they'd always catch her with some boy or something, like that. Well, when I got reassigned to that area, I really took interest in her. And I decided to make home visits and find out what it was about it what was it about life that she was running from?
You
what
want
was
to get
it?
to the root.
Girl,
Absolutely.
Let me tell
Yeah.
you, because that's where if you don't
Sure.
get to the root, now you're just putting a Band-Aid on it.
Sure.
So she's going to keep running away, and we're going to keep bringing her back, and it's just going to be the same revolving door.
For-
So I just had to, get to the root, and all it was is she needed someone to take interest in her. And her mom was doing the best she could. She was a single mom.
Sure.
And so she was gone a lot, and she had a sibling, and it was just, she felt neglected, she felt abandoned, she felt ignored. She was invisible. And so what I did is, at first it was a resistance to me because I was in uniform. I was an authority figure, and that's at that age, who wants to deal with an authority
Well, at
figure,
that point,
right?
she'd already dealt with authority
Right.
figures coming to get
Right,
her from
and it
her
was just
running.
the same
Right.
story. And so this time I was like, well, we're going to do this differently. And I started making home visits with her, and I started really mentoring her and taking her, you know, whatever she needed, we'd go do whatever. You know, if she needed to go to the drugstore, if she wanted to go to the animal shelter, if she wanted to go whatever, I had the permission to take her and, you know, go spend some time. And fast forward, she was doing much better. They had moved, and we got a call about an attempted suicide. And I recognized the address. And so we went lights and siren to get there as fast as we could. And it was her mother. Her mother had tried to kill herself. And she was in the bed, and all these paramedics and officers were around, and I'm yelling, everyone get out of the way. Just get out of the way, because this is, when you patrol a certain area for so long, you develop these relationships over time, those are your people.
Absolutely.
And you become really involved, and you're in it. You're in it with
There's
them.
an element of trust
I'm
more
telling
so
you,
between
there
you
is.
and
There's
them
a
once the
bond.
relationship is built.
There's a
Yeah.
bond. And so
Okay.
I'm thinking, every one of y'all get out. Just get out. And they're looking at me sideways. And I'm just get out. I climb in the bed with her. And I just latched on. I just felt the Lord say, you just need to hold her. Just hold her. Just hold her and tell her I love her. Now, in uniform, you know, some people might get a little sensitive about, you know, religious beliefs, whatever. And I get that.
Sure.
But she's trying to harm herself. And at that point, I'm just like, screw it.
Yeah.
So I just get in the bed with
This
her.
is somebody's life.
Right. And so it just is what it is. I feel like I'm being obedient to what the Lord wanted me to do. Whatever happens, happens.
Sure.
So I'm just holding on to her, and I'm rocking her. Now, granted, this lady is twice my age. And I'm rocking her like a mother would rock a child. And I'm just telling her, I was like, Jesus has not abandoned you. He has not forsaken you. This is not the end. Stop listening to all those lies in your head that saying, you know, it's not worth it anymore. It's too much. It's too unbearable. And she just broke.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like the daughter was just doing what she had seen in her mother. It was that same feeling of abandonment that was just being reproduced. And the child, it was generational. It was a generational thing. So in that moment, it was just, and I've got several stories like that where it's just being at the right place at the right time and developing those relationships and giving a crap about the people that you're in charge of protecting. And I think the more of us that are out there that are more community minded and the ones that really are relational women, we're relational. We have to have those relationships. I've got a relationship with the lady that works at Walgreens. She's like my second mama. I adore her, and she got robbed last year at gunpoint, and I heard it, and I'm getting there as fast as I can. The second I run through the door, she bursts into tears, and I'm rapping onto her, and I'm like, you know, this is mama. And people just lose their minds when they see us hugging and stuff. It's just, it's magic what can happen out there.
Are you guys, because really for me what this is telling me is just, it validates and solidifies for me the power of relationships in life. Are you guys able, as a police force, as state troopers, as people who work to essentially enforce law and protect us, are you able to go out? I mean, do you even have the time to be able to go out and build relationships within the community when it's not like here's an emergency,
right,
or she's committed trying to commit suicide, or she's
right,
ran away? Like, do you guys have a platform and a time allotted to be able to go build community relationships?
We do, and I'm really happy. Our new chief, or I say new chief, gosh, he's been here since 2014, but our chief brought in several organizations that push mentoring.
I love it.
I was so excited about that. So I am a mentor with Mentor Upstate,
Okay.
and
Completely
so that's something.
Unrelated to.
So I can
police
go on
work.
duty. I can go on duty if I want.
Awesome.
And right now with the police community divide that's going on and everything that's going on in the media and everything, I think it's really great for us to be in uniform, to go and play with these kids and help them do homework and projects and things like that. But Big Brothers Big Sisters we partner with, Mentor Upstate we partner with. But also officers, because we're so small, so we're the city, we're a municipality.
Sure.
We're not covering the ground that the county, the sheriff's office is having to cover.
Makes sense.
So what's great about that is we do have that more intimate relationship with our community because there's more of us to go around.
Absolutely.
And
That makes sense.
we are, and that community policing is the heart of what we do.
It's
Because-
like public school versus private school, the
Yes.
ratio of
Yes.
the teacher to the
Mhm.
student.
Exactly, and you see
Got
where
it.
that goes. So, I mean, it's just, our chief is very community minded, we're very involved, and it's really wonderful. And really, you can't be an officer and not have relationships with like your QT people, your Sphinx people. I mean, we go out and do the same things that everyone else does. Starbucks people, just people you deal with every day. I mean, we develop those relationships just by simply being around people. I love that my downtown unit, we patrol on foot, so we're very visible to the
did not
community.
know that.
Yeah,
So everything-
we're on bikes.
Bikes?
We're on
I've
bikes.
seen you on
We're
bikes.
on bikes,
Okay,
and
awesome.
we're on foot, and I love it because we get people, like I said, from all over the world that are coming to Greenville. And they'll stop us and they'll ask us questions, and it's really something that we're proud of, that people say, you know, we really love your police department. They're very engaging, they're not intimidating, they're very welcoming, and we're just a part of the family that's charged with protecting,
Absolutely.
you know, the people. That's all this is, and it's important.
You mentioned something that, you know, you said because of the divide, especially with
Yes.
media and what's
Yes.
happening. And I'm curious, first of all, does anybody have any, can you read the comments? that I
can.
have?
I-
Does anybody, yeah, do you guys
They're
have
just
any
saying, like,
questions
really,
for her?
they're just really being very encouraging.
Oh, good.
I love it. All
Good,
the
good,
blue hearts,
good.
y'all. I love blue hearts, so keep them coming.
If you have any and say your name, say your name.
Yeah, it's Alia Paramore.
Alia.
Alia.
Beautiful name.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions for Alia, please ask. I would love for you guys to ask any questions that you
Absolutely.
have for her.
I'm an open book, nothing off limits. But yeah, there is.
Let's talk about
Let's
it.
address it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
If I hadn't have been doing hair and we were sitting down and doing an interview style thing
Okay.
like we've done in the past, that's definitely one of the subjects that
Okay.
I would have brought up for
Sure.
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 So let's talk about it. Let's
Okay.
talk about it from your perspective.
Yes.
Your current understanding of it.
Okay.
Talk about it.
Okay, I will start with an example. After Ferguson happened, the narrative changed, everything changed. And we'll start with saying racism does exist. I think to say anything less is just to ignore, you know, a major issue for some. And you cannot talk people out of their experience, okay? And that's huge.
Your reality is your
That's
reality.
huge.
Yeah.
So I can say, well, I can't relate because I've never had that happen, but I also can't talk someone out of something that has happened to them. I cannot downplay or minimize that. So I think that has to be brought to the forefront. It is a thing. It still exists. I talked about I mentor with Mentor Upstate. Well, you have to go through an application process. So I had to be approved to be a mentor. Just because I wear a uniform and I'm a police officer does not automatically guarantee me a spot as a mentor.
Fantastic.
I love that. But I will tell you, I got 2 very disappointing phone calls. I got matched with a girl. I'll start out with the first one. Precious 8-year-old. Really excited. I got her name and everything, and I was on my way to go mentor her, and I got a phone call. And the lady that was head of getting all the matches made, she said, Allie, I'm really sorry. I don't really know how to tell you this. I'm just going to be honest. I said, just go ahead and give it to me straight. What's going on? She said, when the mother found out that you were a police officer, she withdrew her child and said she didn't want a police officer mentoring her child. I said, okay, all right, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I said, is there, you know, is that all, or is there, no, she's like, no, we're working on getting you a second match. Okay. 2 weeks later, it was the same thing.
Okay.
And my chief was like, what is going on? I said, I don't know. I feel like, and it's the narrative. It's the narrative.
And let's be clear, we're talking about a mentorship
Yes.
program.
Yes, a mentorship where it's primarily children of, you know, a lower income, or, you know, at what they consider at risk, or just kids who have actually applied for one because it's so cute. You'll go to elementary schools and the buzzword is mentor. Do you have a mentor? I want a mentor.
I want a mentor.
It's so cute. It's adorable.
And that's a great, like, even like as an entrepreneur, that's a
It's so
great
cute, right?
word. We associate mentor in
Yeah.
a beautiful way.
But I didn't know what a mentor was
Right,
when I was,
right,
you know,
right.
in 4th grade. What
No,
is that?
definitely not.
But it's so cute. So anyway, I got rejected for a second time.
Same reason?
Same reason. And I said, Lord, like this is hurting my feelings.
Yeah.
But it also just kind of, I don't know, made me just more resolute to continue and to keep pushing. So I prayed about it, and they said, if you want to back out, we completely understand. I said, absolutely not. Some little girl out there is meant for me, and we're gonna make this work. And it's awesome. So now I've been doing it for 3 years, and I've been mentoring the same girl for 2, and she turns 10 tomorrow. And I'm really excited because we're gonna go do something fun.
Are you allowed to like give her a shout out, or
Her
would
name
she
is
be watching?
Jerica.
Well, happy early birthday,
And
Jerica! If you get to watch
precious,
this.
y'all. Let me tell you something. It's so funny. I took her out not long ago, and she's obsessed with Dairy Queen and Chick-fil-A. Of course, who isn't?
Aren't we all?
Who isn't? And we were talking about school, and she said, Miss Alia, have you ever gotten any awards, like at work? And I said, you know, no, not really. I said, maybe someday. And she said, you know what my mama says about someday? I said, what's that? She's like, that's just code for never gonna happen. I about spit out my drink.
That is
oh my God. She's a trip. But you know you're gonna get the truth when you're talking to children.
100%.
You know?
That's the best advice you could ever get is from a child.
But it's so precious because I'll go to school and I can eat lunch with her and I can take her. She loves
so
to go.
So you are allowed to go into the public school system.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Awesome.
So I'll go and sit with her, and what's cute is she says, you know, Miss Allie, can all my friends sit with us? They want to sit with you.
That's amazing.
And so I get to have this conversation with these little girls, and I do get asked, when was the last time you shot someone? Because again, that's what they're thinking. That's what they associate the uniform with.
Sure.
So I get an opportunity to have that relationship with them. They see, well, Officer Alia she's kind and she brings gifts and she laughs with us at lunch and she has fun. So now whenever they're presented with a negative image of law enforcement, they also have their experience with me to counteract that and say, you know what? I see what's being portrayed out here, but I know Officer Alia and she loves me and she cares about me and she says that she's always there for me if I ever need anything. And I think that's the most important weapon against this, you know, any type of evil in the world, is that you present a countermeasure and say, okay, well, I understand that some people have had bad experiences. Let's offer them a new experience.
Yeah.
And I do want to share this one story if I have
Please.
time. Okay.
I love what
I could talk all.
This is great because again, I can't focus and do more than one thing at a time. I love what you're doing, and a lot about what I talk about often is breaking down stereotypes.
Yes.
So whether you view police and just the uniform as a negative stereotype because of experience, sometimes we just have to break it down a little bit. And I love that you're humanizing the idea of creating relationship to help them be a little bit more, that feeling of just safety and the lack of fear for them is what's beautiful about what you're doing.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. I want to hear the next one. This is amazing.
So this is good. So I was coming into work one morning, and it was right about rush hour, so about 7:15, 7:20 on Church Street. We all know what that's like. It's a nightmare. And this car was broke down the opposite lane, and so traffic was backed up, and I flipped around, turned on my blue lights, and I'm like, we gotta get this car out of the road. Not unusual, happens all the time. Well, I get up there, and the guy's rolled down his window like a little bit, just a little bit. And he was sticking his driver's license through the window before I could even say anything.
Okay.
And I said, sir, I don't need that. I want to know what's wrong with your car. Do we need to have it towed? Do you need gas? You would be surprised how many people run out of gas every day. It's funny. But we'll make gas runs, whatever. And he wouldn't look at me. And I said, sir, I'm trying to help you get your car out of the way. And he said a few things, but essentially the moral of the story was it just broke down and we didn't know what it was.
Okay.
So I called a buddy of mine. I said, hey, I need some help. I don't know what I'm going to have to do to get this car out of the road. If you could come help me. And I asked the guy, I said, do you have a tow company we can call? We've got our record that we can use, but we'd like to give you the option, who do you want to use? And he said, I don't have the money. Tow fees are expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're ridiculous. But anyway, so I said, okay, we'll fix this. I said, put it in neutral. Now, this was at Beatty and Church, okay? So right there near the Bon Secours Arena.
Got it.
So
So busy and a busy just so you guys have
intersection,
very busy
busy.
intersections.
So my partner and I were like, okay, we're gonna do this. We pushed the car all the way from Main and Beatty to Church, from Church and Beatty to Church and Washington. That's a long way. And it was hot. It was during the summer. Everything happens during the summer. And so we got him, he pulled into one of the parallel parking spots along Washington, and I go run back and get my car and pull it back around, and I get out, and he's getting out of his car and he's sobbing. This grown man is sobbing. And I run up to him, I'm thinking something's wrong. Oh no, what's wrong? Do you need an ambulance? What's wrong? Are you okay? And he said, I thought you were gonna hurt me. And I'm thinking, and it takes me a minute because I don't expect people to think that I'm going to hurt them or I'm going to do anything but be nice to them.
Instinctually, because you have good intentions.
When I see that, it's shocking.
Person,
yeah, it's shocking. And so I said, sir, oh my word. And he said, where I come from, which he's Hispanic, he said, where I come from, wherever that is, he said, the police are not nice. The police, anything that happens with the police is bad. And he said, I don't even know what to say. And I said, well, you don't have to say anything. We're trying to help you. I know how expensive tow fees are, and people run into stuff like this every day. You just sometimes need to be cut a break every now and then. And so I just felt really good at that moment that here's somebody else who's been given a new experience to know that we don't all fit this narrative.
Yeah.
And so it's just every day I've made it a point to ask the Lord to please just put me in the right place at the right time.
With the right people.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I have found that as long as I'm paying attention to that, that little still small voice, and I'm obedient to that, man, I just call it magic.
That piece of the puzzle is the most important part. Ask for it, but then don't forget to keep listening.
No, but it's funny because there's just little instances throughout my day where I'm like, yep, okay, God, I get it. I gotcha. He loves his people, and we are his hands and feet. And if we just love, perfect love casts out all fear. And right now, we've been given, law enforcement has been given this deck of cards that we had no control over per se. We can't just disengage and say, well, we're not all like that. I'm not doing anything with it.
Not.
We have to engage.
Yeah.
We have to engage.
Things have changed. Circumstances have happened that have now shifted the narrative for what it looks like to be a police officer in the public perception of what that is.
Yeah.
So for you, just if you can elaborate, and I don't want to ever impose on things that you can and cannot talk about. So all you got to do is say, "Well, I can't talk about it," right?
Sure.
But just for you personally, outside of relationships, which I think honestly is the best thing that what you're doing is, I think, the most admirable way to make real progress is creating those relationships by not only being a police officer, but involving yourself in mentorship programs to get involved in the community that allows you to wear that, to associate what a police officer is. I think that might be just good enough as it is.
Right.
But to somebody that could be watching, or to somebody that knows somebody that has experienced a circumstance that wasn't coming from a place of them feeling safe, what can they do, right? What can that person do on a daily basis if they're approached by a police officer, not knowing if they have good intentions or bad intentions? What could they do? Honestly, other than just just listen to directions, follow. Maybe for them that's not good enough, or
Right.
that's scary.
Sure.
What is the? Are you guys even given like a protocol? Like what can they do? I want your perspective.
Sure. Well, I'll first start off and say when I get pulled over, because I have been pulled over, my heart races. Okay.
Me too.
I get nervous, and it's not necessarily because I'm thinking, oh gosh, what's about to happen to me. It's just I was always that
Me too.
wanted to do the right thing
Yeah,
all the
me
time.
too. Me too.
And so again, acknowledging that bad experiences do happen, not taking away or diminishing that whatsoever. The biggest thing, and I tell people, is just let the officer explain, what's going on.
Okay.
You can ask what's going on. You have the right to do that. What I do encourage is that as long as what's going on is lawful, which again, the majority of officers are going to be giving you lawful orders.
Uh-huh.
If you're ignorant to the law, which I was ignorant to the law entirely until I started doing this job.
Sure.
You don't always know. You might think you're in the right, but it might be something, an ordinance or a new law has passed or something that you're ignorant of. Just follow their lawful commands, and then after they're done doing whatever they need to do as far as, doing the traffic stop, you can ask. You absolutely can ask. And I think it's the assumption of everything. It's really dangerous. It's dangerous ground to assume. Just ask. And if you do it, we're all people and we love respect. We appreciate being respected. And you give respect, you receive respect. That's the law of the land. That's being a human. That's being a good human. If you feel, again, there are situations that are unfortunate and make us mad. Let me tell you, when we see an officer that is on YouTube or is on the news and has done something egregious, I promise you the rest of us are sitting there just as angry and irate, because I'll tell you what, number one is it's wrong, but number two, we're gonna have to pay for those mistakes and that behavior.
Your integrity
Yes.
is then now in real life affected by that behavior.
Yes, so I may not have had anything to do with anything that happened in an entirely different state on the other side of the country, but we're gonna pay for it. So I can assure you that we take it just as seriously, because I'm going to be treated hostilely or, in a type of way because of what has been done to other people. But my biggest encouragement would be just follow their commands. And then after it's all over, you always have, you can call a supervisor. I'm a supervisor. I've taken complaints. I deal with the public. If they don't understand what's happened to them, I'll be more than happy to talk to them.
Yeah.
And then usually 99% of the time after I've had that conversation, they come away with a new understanding and go, oh, okay, well, I just didn't know.
I love that. I love that.
And here's something else. Police officers are just as human as anyone else. And let me tell you something. There have been times I have come from a call where a baby was killed or there was a sexual assault that I had to deal with, and I may have not had the best attitude dealing with the next person. And that's when that grace, I appreciate the grace that some people have given me. And I've said, look, I'm sorry. I've stopped myself a couple of times and said, look, I'm really sorry. I just came from a very stressful situation. You don't deserve this, and I apologize. And then go on about it. And people are really, again, the majority of the time willing to extend that grace when they do realize that we are just as human as everyone else.
So I wonder if in a situation like that where you had just left a child, worst case scenario, somebody has died, right? And you've got to leave immediately after you just saw that happen and go take your next call.
And go deal with someone who's fighting over a cell phone.
For you were like, what do they call it? First class world problems when you're fighting over a cell phone versus somebody just lost their child kind of thing. So for you to be able to completely separate the emotional effect that last call had on you to go into this one,
right.
I mean, it's not like you can just go into that next call and say, listen, before we even get started,
Right.
I want to let you know that I
Right.
just came from a situation
Right.
where a baby passed away.
Right.
Because they don't care. They don't
Right.
know
You're
that. They don't know what that
you're
felt
exactly
like
right.
or what you were going through.
Yeah.
You have to seriously, it's almost like block it out of your mind to
Yeah.
go to that next call.
Yeah.
I cannot
Yeah.
imagine.
And I will say shout out to the men, because physiologically we are created different than genders are. And I will tell you, men are so good at this because they can compartmentalize. And I think it's fabulous. It's interesting. My husband and I can go deal with the same call, same situation. And when we get home, we can discuss it, and his perception of it and my perception of it can be completely different. And we
Wow.
saw the same exact thing. And he can look at me and say, why is this still bothering you?
Wow.
It's interesting. And I think where, for the longest time, women were not accepted in law enforcement. And when people say, have you ever dealt with that? Have you ever felt that? What is that? Clay?
What is that?
What is that?
This is healing clay. So I'm going to use healing clay to separate the pieces of hair from one another and also fatten each strand to make each strand look a little
Y'all
fuller.
look at these curls. I'm just gonna say this girl doesn't get this treatment very often.
Well, you deserve
So
it.
I'm
You
excited.
deserve all the treatment you can
But
get.
it is interesting that people's response, and every one of us is different. Every officer is different. So you're gonna have officers respond to different situations in different kinds of ways.
I have to say the least, I have a very multicultural hodgepodge of lifestyles and backgrounds that work on my teams for my
Yeah.
businesses. I do that on purpose. I want to learn from every culture and every circumstance
Yep.
that somebody's going through so I can grow as a person.
Yes.
And I think when you put a group of very diverse people together, they all start to learn from each other, whether it's tolerance,
It's
just
true.
love in general.
So true.
So I did that intentionally.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation probably about 3 weeks ago with one of my stylists. She is biracial,
Okay.
and she has 2 children that are also obviously biracial as well.
Right.
And she was talking to me, she said, Bo, I have got to have a conversation with my son. He keeps wanting to walk from where her home is up to a gas station. And this
Okay.
child is, I think like 15 or 16, but is on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
So she's naturally just
Right.
a step ahead concerned,
Sure.
right? But then her fear, because of her circumstances and her history and her perspective, is not a positive one when it comes to police,
Okay.
when it comes to talking to her child.
Okay.
So in
Yeah.
her mind, she's got to set her child down and say, listen, here's what you have to do if a police officer pulls you over.
Right.
Because you're walking.
Right.
Okay? They're going to question you. If they question you and they pull you over and they ask where you're going, he's going to, in her mind, he's going to have a difficult time explaining that because of
Sure.
his autism.
Right.
It could come across as if he's on drugs.
Right.
Because his behavior is going to look a little bit
Right.
different. And that was such a hard day for her to prepare for that conversation
Right.
to have with her child. But what I'll say is that I love that she had the conversation.
Yeah.
She took what we were talking about, her reality from her circumstances, and took the time to sit down and have a conversation to educate her son about what to expect and then how to react.
Right.
Right? And
Right.
the things that she came back to me the next day and she explained, she said the conversation went great. Believe it or not, he really understood it. He was so
Good.
respectful of it. She's like, I'm not sure I'm going to let him walk to the store yet. But,
Sure. That's fair.
right. But,
Yeah.
but she's like, it went really, really well
so
and it
good.
clicked with him.
That's so good.
And it made so much sense to him because she took the time
Yeah.
to just sit down and start the conversation. That was hard to have.
I'm sure it
That's
was.
that's the thing
I'm
about
sure it
life
was.
is these difficult conversations, they're hard to have. But if we have them, that's the only way we're going to progress.
That's it.
That's the
That's
only
it.
way. That's the only way we can build community.
Because outside you're operating on assumption.
Beautifully
and you can't,
said.
And you can't.
Beautifully said.
Cannot. We cannot afford to anymore. We can't afford to. There's really, at this point in the game, there's too much at stake. There's too much risk. There's human life.
On both ends.
You know what I mean?
Both
Right.
sides of the spectrum. in that
Right.
scenario.
And what's really great is I can say our police chief again has made it a priority that we get training on autism.
Wow.
We have training on mental health. We have training on how to deal with people who, have these challenges.
That's
I mean, for
amazing.
crying out loud, if you're a diabetic and you're going into diabetic shock, guess what? You smell like you've got alcohol in your breath. And
Is that right?
And I
Wow.
got into a situation with a guy that was in a wreck, and he kept trying to leave. The tires were spinning, and I get out there and running, and I'm in the car with him trying to get his keys, and it smelled like alcohol, and he was acting drunk. So I thought,
Just naturally.
this guy, right? And
based off your circumstances,
right,
in
based on my
life, right?
experience. And the paramedics get there like, oh no, we got this. He's diabetic, and fixed him. Gave him whatever it is they needed to give him, and within seconds, he was a completely different person. So it really is education on both sides and conversation being had, and that's what I love about what you're doing here is you're bringing people on to have conversations and to get different perspective, because we have to do it, and it's okay to do it.
Yeah.
It's okay to have different ideas, and it's okay to talk about things that make people uncomfortable. But we have to get beyond it, because underneath all of that is the truth of it all. And the truth is that we are in this together. And like I said, perfect love casts out all fear. And it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we are God's kids. Right? So, I mean, when you look at people like that and say, okay, they're in this circumstance, or I don't know how that person got in that circumstance. I don't know how they ended up on the street. I don't know how they ended up as a drug addict. That's not my concern. My concern is, what can I do on this day to make a difference in their life to make it better? And that's where we have to be.
And I think that is exactly the first step that you can do if you want to contribute to a better society. Do just that.
Yeah.
These simple little acts.
Easy.
And I always say the conversations start. Have those weird, crazy, hard conversations with people around you. Talk about something. I can't tell you how many times I'll bring up a subject that I feel like super passionate about, and I have a very direct and poignant point of view on that subject.
Sure.
But the moment I bring conversation to it, and there's a vulnerability that I'm sharing, and it's coming from intentional love and passion,
Yes.
the perspective I get because I allowed somebody else to continue that conversation with me just makes it even better. It took my point of view and it expanded on it.
Right.
And now me and that person have developed a stronger relationship.
There's a bond now.
And there's a bond.
There's a bond, and it does come from a place of vulnerability. But social media, and I will say, it's like people aren't listening. They're waiting to respond instead of truly listening. And that's where I feel like this is very important, because we're in a society right now where if you disagree, you must hate someone. We've got to get to where we can disagree, but if I love you and I love you, it doesn't matter. We can still, there are people that I surround myself with who are completely different from me. We break bread together. We have lunch together. We hang out because I need that in my life. We don't agree at all, but I would literally take a bullet for them.
Honestly, I would rather be surrounded by a group of people who did not see life the exact same way that I do. And I mean to the extent of a high contrast version of that.
Sure.
Like a complex, completely different, like contradictive point of view and reality in life. Because again, that's how you grow.
Yes.
To think about this idea, if I was surrounded by every single person who held my level of passion for life in certain areas, or my relationship with Christ, right? I want to be surrounded by people, and people are going to disagree with this,
Sure.
but that's okay. And I
Sure.
respect that, and that's why the conversation's important.
Exactly.
I want to be surrounded by people who don't believe in the same religion that I do.
Right, it's perspective.
I want to know so
Perspective.
bad, talking about spirituality, and me and you share that. Talking about spirituality, I love nothing more than to know where people find their peace and their joy from.
Oh.
And so much about if you are spiritual, or if you believe in something bigger than you in a spiritual
Yes.
format, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's a big part of what we think and what our brains is telling us and our hearts of how we're getting peace
Yes.
and joy in life. So if somebody else has a perspective and they're getting joy and they have a totally different viewpoint on spirituality than me, awesome.
And,
I just want them to
they're
be happy,
and
right?
they're happy, and happy people make a happy world, you know. And
Yep.
if we're constantly looking for a reason to lash out and to disagree and can't wait to get on that Facebook page and be a keyboard warrior, and not and completely disconnecting from the human part. If you had to look at someone who you're disagreeing with so vehemently and say some of the things that are coming across, my word, you wouldn't say them. People would not say what they say.
I think it's important what you're saying, and even down to like what type of behavior that we've all seen these YouTube videos with police officers, right?
Yes.
Where
Yes.
people are
I'm probably on
really.
one.
You just said I'm probably
on
one.
a few.
Where people are essentially going out of their way to make sure that police officers understand their own rights, and they,
Yes.
you know, there's the, like you
Yes.
said, there's this thing happening, and so be it. It is what it is, and it's
Yes.
not going to stop. But I think how do we get out of this place of finding what our intentions are? And making sure that even if our intentions are pure and they're right in the actions that we're going to take, how do we make sure that our intentions turn into actions that allow for vulnerability? So how do we stop judging automatically, or in a situation where you're presented with something, reacting
Right.
out of fear probably,
Right.
but immediately reacting defensively,
Right.
as opposed to listening to what's being said
Right.
and then you having the opportunity to respond rationally? How can we change that?
It's such a human need to be right.
Mm,
I don't.
that's powerful.
It's really rooted in pride.
Okay.
It's really rooted in pride.
We don't want to be wrong.
We can't.
We won't.
We are
Talk more about that. We can't.
We are so. Our identity is so in our rightness. And I'll tell you, in this job that I do, I can't say when I was a rookie coming in, I'd get to a scene, I'd have it figured out before I even left. I'd be wrong 95% of the time. I had the suspect wrong, I had the victim wrong.
But you thought
I had
for sure you had it right.
yeah, I watched Cops. I know all this. Y'all get out of the way.
I got this.
I'm no. The longer I stood there and the longer I listened to people and I heard one side of the story and then the other side of the story, and we have a saying, there's two sides to every story, and then in the middle there's the truth. It is true. And I have just, the more mature you become, and I think it's all maturity. We are all stunted right now. I don't know if it's the social media proliferation. I don't know if it's just, it's like I was telling Jennifer, I watched the last YouTube, which y'all need to subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's awesome.
Yeah, so
this
one will be released next week.
But you said something, there's a frustration in you, and it was something amazing. You were frustrated at the amount of views on something that you feel is so important and relevant in society, yet when you do a hair tutorial or you do something that's fabulous and makes people beautiful, you get thousands of views.
Right.
We are at a place in society where we have a desire to be entertained. We have a desire to be numbed to pain, truth. We don't, because to see truth is to be vulnerable. We've all been hurt. If you've been in this world 5 minutes, you've been hurt, okay? And so we just continue to patch up these wounds. We're the walking wounded. And instead of taking time to heal and say, you know what? Instead of pointing my finger at you, I'm gonna look inside myself and say, okay, what is it that is causing me to view you in such a judgmental way? What is the hurt in me that I'm projecting onto you? What is it? And we have more information than we've ever had. We've got access to more information. Personal help is just blowing it out of the water. Yet we are still, if not more, just as wounded, divided, judgmental than we've ever been. Why is that? It's because we're just going to the next big fix, and people think drugs are the only things that offer you hits. No, likes on social media, all the attention, it's giving you that hit, that endorphin fix of life really isn't that bad.
It's releasing endorphins
Yes.
and serotonin levels.
It is.
Interesting.
It is. And
When
so
a conversations
right.
like this.
So when you do this, this is hard. This is hard because it makes you think of something that might be uncomfortable. And we run from anything that makes us uncomfortable, which uncomfortable, the healing is on the other side of being uncomfortable. If we can
That's
get
the
uncomfortable,
breakthrough.
if we can get uncomfortable and finally sit down with people that we disagree with and say, you know what, I'm feeling this way, I don't really understand it, help me understand your point of view. And then on the other side of that, you get perspective and you realize you're talking to another human being with another set of experiences and they're viewing life through their lens. We're not looking at the same thing. We're really not.
No, not at all.
And so if I can, sit in this chair and I can talk to you about, you and you can talk about me, and then at the end of the day, we're like, oh, this is excellent. This is great. This is opening a window to another world. And someone can come away and say, you know what? Because you did this, I don't see police officers as, just these vengeful, vindictive jerks. I see them actually as human beings who may have actually dealt with a divorce or dealt with the loss of their child, or some officers have been on food stamps. It's important.
It's
And
just another human being
God,
trying
if we can
to
just-
do
if we can
hopefully
just-
their best.
If we can just get to that and just realize at the end of the day, it's all about serving each other. I tell my guys routinely, I might be your supervisor, but the higher you go up in the food chain, the more of a servant you become. That is what true leadership is. It is washing. Jesus washed feet, for crying out loud. And that's where we need to get with each other. Instead of coming to the table ready to fire, ready to attack, just coming and saying, okay, teach me. What is it that I need? You have something that I could possibly need, and you have something,
Absolutely.
it's just having that relationship, and it really does go beyond the superficial. This is great.
Sure.
It's great.
Sure.
But you go hands-on with people who are going through
Yes.
stuff, right?
Right here.
It's a ministry. It's a
100%.
And I tell people
You
all the
know it.
time. Are you kidding me? Missions work. I do missions work. This is a mission field. I deal with people who are in all different kinds of situations, and they are crying out for help. And everyone's crying out for help.
All of us.
All of us
Every
are.
day.
All of
And
us are.
that is probably the biggest thing that hurts my heart the most is, yes, we cannot deny circumstances we go through.
No.
And we cannot deny that they shape and change our viewpoint in life and what we
Yes.
trust, what we fear. But you remove skin off this face, whether it was black, white, yellow, brown, I'm probably orange today.
Oh yeah.
You remove the skin.
Yeah.
There's a skeleton under
That's
here, and
right.
we all are just
It's a
skeletons.
skin suit. That's what my mom calls it.
That's a
And
beautiful
I'm
way of
like,
putting it.
it's just we
And
didn't
it's
ask for
borrowed.
it.
It's
We didn't
just
ask
like
for
we're
it.
on borrowed time.
No.
You know.
It's how many people are we gonna rally together, because we do this life together, and to think we do it any other way is just nonsense. We're in this together.
And it's okay to not. It's okay to feel like, okay, that's overwhelming.
Yeah.
To try to change life as it is and the divisions that take place in life or the uncomfortable. But where it starts, and I say this every time I can, where it starts is just your inner circle.
Yeah.
Start the conversations with just the people that
Yeah.
you're surrounded by on a daily basis.
Yes.
One of the most beautiful things that happens to me in my life outside of one-on-one conversations like this, or communicating with people that watch, or my team of people that work right beside me and with me every day to support my mission and passion that they've made theirs. One of the most important things that I think that I do on a regular basis is open a door for somebody at a gas station. Smile at somebody just because, no reason.
Just because.
I don't want anything in return. Just smile at somebody. You never know when just a simple smile at a random stranger is going to change their entire day. It could prevent them from committing suicide that day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't
And-
think
and
we-
it's
I don't think we realize in life that we all go through such hard things, and we all have very big circumstances that have shaped and formed the humans that we are.
yeah.
And how do we get through that
Yeah.
together?
And we
Can't
have
do it
to.
alone.
We were never meant to. We were built for a relationship. We were created for it. And so to deny ourselves the very thing we were created for is to rob us of complete happiness. because really I'm at my happiest when I'm serving others. I can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of it. It's ridiculous. If I have something I can do, like, you know, if I can go be a part of, you know, we do a lot of Christmas stuff for the kids that we mentor, giving them bikes and, you know, toys, things that just bring happiness to them. Man, that fills my cup. That's me. That's me. You know, people are so kind to us. You know, I can't tell you the amount of times, you know, we've had our lunches bought or something, and they won't tell us who it is. I'm convinced it's because they know I'm going to find them and hug them. I am the huggiest. If y'all see me out and about in uniform,
she's hugging you.
I need a hug, okay? I love the hugs. I smell horrible in that Kevlar during the summer. It's 1,000,000,000 degrees in there, and you might get poked in the face by my body camera, but I'm telling you, when we make, it's that physical contact too. It's when you embrace someone, when you hug them.
The power of a touch.
Let me tell you, it is magic. It's magic, and that's people. I've latched on to people. I don't even really ask anymore because they're getting it. It's just it's a weird feeling because now they feel that vest and they feel all of the. It's uncomfortable to hug me when I'm in uniform, and it brings it back down to, wow, you really wear all that every day. You're really like out there like to protect us and stuff.
Trenches.
Like, are you kidding me? Yeah, like this is what we're out here for. It's just people engaging in all walks of life every day, and selflessness is what we need to focus on.
I love it.
It's not about you. It's not about you.
But in return, when you make it not be
It's
about
almost
you,
selfish.
that's where you get
It's
the
almost
joy.
selfish.
It is.
It's almost selfish.
It
but, you know,
is. It's like
that's
doing
where
these
the
random
happiness
acts brings you the joy, and then you feel guilty for feeling the joy.
Becca Wilds could use a hug. Becca,
Oh, girl.
come find me. How do you decompress and relax on downtime? Is that for me? Is that a question
That's
for me?
for you, yeah,
okay.
bro. It's about you.
Y'all are gonna laugh. I'm obsessed with Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. Y'all, my husband gets so annoyed. I will watch the same movies over and over and over again, and I want, my dogs are accustomed to the pizza delivery man. And so it's like they know, if mom puts in Jurassic World, the pizza is not far behind. And yeah, you should follow me on Facebook. I have an Alaskan Malamute named Draco. He's just big, ginormous
Tell
fluff
them
ball.
what to search for to find you on Facebook.
Alia Paramore or Mrs. South Carolina Cosmos. I've got my public figure page. But yeah, that's what I do to decompress. I eat. I love food. I do work out, but that's where I get my spending time with my husband, with no phones, no radios, and Jurassic World or Jurassic Park. That makes me happy. Where on YouTube can they find the videos?
The videos, just look on YouTube for Beau Stegall. So it's just my channel on YouTube, Beau Stegall.
Let's see. I feel like I probably missed a whole bunch of stuff. Your hair is gorgeous. Thank
She has
you.
great hair. Her hair is
Thank
beautiful.
you. I'm in Ohio. Wish I could come to y'all. Oh, come from. We have a lot of people from Ohio. If you go to Myrtle Beach or Hilton Head, Ohio plates everywhere.
That's very true.
It's everywhere.
Very
so
true.
You need to jump on that bandwagon. Hello
We'll meet
from
you halfway.
South Dakota's on here. We got South Dakota. We had someone from Australia on earlier. I love the movie Twister, but not the language. Oh, you know, this is awesome. I need a hug. Nadia needs a hug. All the hugs.
Digital
Everyone.
hug.
Digital hugs.
hug.
Bring it in.
Digital hugs.
Bring
We're
it
right
in.
here. Hug it out.
Aw, there's so many people. This was amazing. Blessings from Michigan. Maryland in the house. Miss Debbie's watching. I know Miss Debbie.
I know, Miss Deb. What you doing, Debbie?
Oh, so many. New Hampshire's in the house. Y'all, this is awesome. Texas. My mom lives in Texas.
What part of Texas?
Saying
you in?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. Okay.
She's in Fort Worth.
I
Went to
love
go be with
Austin,
them. Go
Texas.
to be with them church people in Fort Worth. Ireland. Okay. New
That's
York's in
awesome.
the house. Y'all, this is so great. Do y'all have any questions for Beau about any of this, or just?
I'll just tell you quickly what I did. I just used a one, and this one has a tapered
I love
end.
that.
So what that does is obviously it gets larger and goes smaller, and it just, for me, creates a beachier wave. And then what I did is I did small strands all throughout and wrapped it around, and then let that cool for a minute, and then just took any kind of brush is fine, but I just took a brush and just combed through those curls just to sort of loosen it. If you go smaller with your curls, if you plan on combing them out with a brush, that's how you're going to get a softer curl, as opposed to if you use too big of a one and you try to curl it out, you're going to lose your curl.
Right.
So use smaller curls if you're going to brush them out for a softer look.
Deborah says, I can't wait to buy some hair products.
Oh.
Love it. Aww. Bring Bo to the UK.
UK, we're working.
Do it.
I promise, we'll get it there.
Do it.
Get it there one day.
Do y'all have any questions? Some
Any questions
weird
for her?
questions?
Yeah, you can ask
anything.
Now's the time.
Nothing is off limits. I was wondering how to get the such a handsome. Let's see what else we got. I will say, some people have asked me what it is, how I got into pageantry.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do, I did not grow up doing pageants whatsoever.
No.
At all.
You did your first one. You contacted
Miranda.
me. How long ago was
Miranda's
that?
my girl. That was just a year and a half ago,
That's
actually.
crazy. So yeah, Miranda's how did you
my
go
girl.
from being a police officer?
So going back to the race issue with law enforcement, the communities and stuff like that, I was getting a lot of pushback. My platform is sex trafficking. And bringing awareness to the issue. People don't think it exists here in the upstate. It does. So while I was doing volunteer work with an organization called Switch here in the upstate, I was wanting to do more. But my uniform was kind of a barrier. I noticed that people weren't seeing me beyond the uniform. People would kind of tune out. They would say, no, we're not really interested in hearing from a cop. Like, I really did get some of that pushback. And I'm like, okay, what can I do so that people can see me outside of the uniform? What is a way that I can get the attention, the doors open, without the pushback? Pageantry. Someone suggested, hey, maybe you should look into doing a pageant. I was like, a pageant? Are you kidding me? Like, I look like a baby giraffe trying to walk in 6-inch heels. It's horrible. I wear combat boots and Kevlar all day.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll try this. And so I did my first pageant in November of 2017. That's when Miranda came and just did the bombest work on my hair and makeup. She's killer. But people, and I will say in an interview, we didn't even get to talk about my platform. When I sat down and they found out I was a police sergeant, they were stuck. They were locked on. So now people were so shocked because of whatever stereotype they had in their
contrast.
head. Right. It was like I had their attention now. I had their attention.
So it was one area where it worked really well.
So I was like, okay. So now I've got people's attention, and they're like, "You're a cop? How is that? How does that even work?" And then I would say, because I'm passionate about the people. I'm passionate about this epidemic that's going to surpass drug trafficking in a few years. We're selling people. We have more slavery now than we've ever had, and people cannot comprehend that, but it's a thing. And I just needed people, whatever avenue it took for people to hear about that, I was willing to do it. I was willing to do it. 6-inch heels and a bikini, fine. Whatever it took. And I now have a website. It is blueheartinitiative.org if you want to know. That's why I love the blue hearts. I love the blue hearts. But yeah, blueheartinitiative.org if you want to know more about sex trafficking or how you can get involved.
Can you type that in the comments, Jennifer? blueheartinitiative.org. She was already on it. That's amazing. I go speak at churches, businesses, schools, Girl Scouts, colleges. I spoke at Clemson not long ago. It's just important, and that's how I got into pageantry, and it blows people's minds that that's a thing, that sex trafficking it's not just international, it is very much here at home. And I think there's a lot that you've said in this conversation today that is extremely impactful, and of course you're courageous and I admire everything that you do. There's a lot that you've said that's beautiful. If you tuned in halfway through, please go back and watch the rest of it, or catch the YouTube video next week when we release it. But I think the biggest thing that I took from you is that in uniform, which I perceive, my perception is that it's a beautiful thing that you serve right here in the city that I live in,
Love
right?
my
So
Greenville.
that's very personal to me, that you protect on behalf of me
That's
and my
right.
fellow peers and the people that live in this community. But the fact that in my mind, that's so crazy, but the fact that in my mind, that uniform became a bump in the road for several things that you wanted to do to better your community, which makes no sense to me, but I get it.
Sure.
Right? I get it. I get it.
Yes.
You didn't stop.
Nope.
And you didn't just take no for an answer. You continued to push because you had a vision and you were on a mission to do what you felt in your heart was what you were supposed to do.
Yes.
So don't ever stop, whatever it is that
That's
you
right.
feel led to do,
That's right.
because somebody says no to you.
That's right.
Or this circumstance just didn't work out because of this.
That's right. Just because you run into an obstacle, that's not something, some divine sign telling you to stop. Usually, I mean, how many stories have we heard about really successful entrepreneurs that had several doors slammed in their faces, and they, 8 times down the road, they finally got the big break that just blew it wide open. This is something, you're gonna have obstacles. If God has called you to something, you might as well get ready. You might as well, you're gonna get resistance. You're gonna meet the challenges, and you might as well just go ahead and just get grounded and ready to go and dig your heels in and say, okay, it may not have worked over here. I'm not gonna change the mission, I might change the way. So I'm still gonna get the word out, and it may not be.
Changed.
That's right,
Yeah.
it's fine, it's fine. At the end of the day, I'm never going to stop what I'm doing, no matter what set of circumstances, what society's doing, what's on the news, a year from now or tomorrow. I'm going to continue because God has called me to do this work.
And back to one of the things that you said, putting your pride aside.
You got to. It'll kill
That's how you
everything.
get to
It
the
will
next
destroy. It will destroy. If it's something that you're going to have to be vulnerable, and you might have to, just kind of bare your soul and say, hey, I made the mistake, I did something that's not entirely right. Taking ownership of some officers misbehaving and really doing some horrible things. It's hard for me. We want to defend it and be like, no, that's not really what happened. We've had to look at the video, we've had to look at the facts and say, you know what, that really happened, and that really is not okay. It's not okay. And
I think what I love so much about this conversation, specifically with the division between the circumstances that take place for you to look at law enforcement in the wrong light.
Yes.
That specific topic, which is a huge one and a big one and very relevant. What I think I love the most about you is that you are saying, these people are human. You are not standing here saying, every police officer in the world is absolutely doing it with the best of intentions, and they are not going to make a mistake.
Right.
I love that you were able to say that and bring light to that.
it has to be said.
I love that because that's what builds trust.
Right. Well, you can't have trust without truth.
You can't stand with a million people in one industry and say, no, we're all in it together. We're all good. Just this one situation happened, but we're all good now.
No,
you're speaking truth, and it's authentic.
You have to.
And that makes me, if I were to use common sense, if I had a bad perception, I would go into it now thinking, okay, at least this person I know I can trust, so I've got a little bit more trust now in police officers.
Yes, and I got a lot of friends who are like me, so I'm excited. I take Greenville. I'm so proud of Greenville Police, and I will tell you, y'all, we love our community. We love our community, and y'all have. I'm biased a little bit, obviously, but I'm telling you. Our officers are trained, they're professional, they're out there to serve you, and it's just...
And I will say, I'm sure she won't brag about it, but in Greenville, the crime rate, everything about Greenville and its safety continues to become better and better and better and better. So maybe some of these other cities need to be following what Greenville's doing. Y'all need to call the chief of police in Greenville and get the blueprint for what's
right.
happening in Greenville,
That's
because
right.
I could not feel more safe
That's
living
right.
in a city than I do right here in my city.
That's right.
I hope you guys all feel safe where you live, but if you don't, just open your mind, start
That's
having
right.
more conversations. Heck, call the chief of police
Seriously.
in your town. If you,
Yeah.
actually, now that I've
Yeah.
had this conversation, you know what I would have told my team member that had to go talk to her child?
We would
I
come
would've-
talk.
That's what I
We
was
would
gonna
come.
say.
That's the thing. So, and
Talk
this is
about this.
okay.
This is
so
big.
here's the deal. So again, fear is such an awful thing because it'll keep people separated. It'll keep people divided. When all we need is to come together. Your police department will come. Will send someone. If you have a group of kids or even just your kid, I can't tell you how many times we get 911 calls because the child will not get up and go to school. Okay, so there's that. So people call 911 for things, petty things. If you're talking about wanting to have a conversation with your child because you're afraid for their safety, you're afraid, because they might have, autism or a challenge or something that they need some help with, call us. I'm telling you right now, I will come do it.
That's amazing.
I will come do it. I'm telling you, reach out to me. I don't care. If we're not doing it, who's going to do it? So instead of assuming and being scared and just going off of all of this fear mongering, call us. Get us involved. And I think you'd be really pleasantly surprised, and your mind might be not 100% changed, but you would have a new set of experiences to draw from instead of all the negativity that you might have experienced. Let us give you a new experience to pull from.
You know what I would love, and I can't promise that we can make this happen. It may not be live, but we could do it with just a simple video that we could post later. If you're open and my stylist is open, even though she's already had the conversation, I would love to catch just the vulnerable from the moment y'all say hello to talking about this exact subject.
Yeah.
So because you can't have enough knowledge,
No.
right?
No.
So if you're open, and we'll talk about it
Yeah,
after, and if
sure.
she's open to
Yeah.
just sort of letting the camera catch the moment you two meet and talk, and going into it knowing what you're going to be talking about,
Sure.
as if she called you to come out. I would
Sure.
love to catch that vulnerability from her circumstances in life, and I'd love to catch that.
We need to have those conversations.
I
We
would
need to
love
have
to
those
catch that.
conversations.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching
Yeah.
and spending. Is it Monday?
Is it Monday?
night?
It's Monday.
I don't even know.
It is Monday.
Monday,
Isn't it?
yeah, it's Monday. Okay. Every day of the week's a good day of the
We
week for
don't
me
know.
if we
don't
make
know.
it. But thank you guys for tuning in and watching. She's an extraordinary human being. I knew a little bit
Awesome.
about her, but today was the first time I actually got to meet her. Any last
All the
questions?
Blue hearts.
Blue hearts, yes. I love it.
Y'all are amazing.
Go to her
Y'all are
website, check it
amazing.
out, see what you can do to help. I can't wait to go myself and find out whatever it is that I can do.
Oh, y'all are awesome. Yes, share the video. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely share the
Absolutely.
video.
And subscribe to Bo's YouTube channel too, because he's been having awesome conversations about real topics, you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
we all, obviously he has awesome hair products and he's known for that, but listen to me. How many hairstylists and hairdressers do you know that has a heart for their community like this guy? I'm telling you, listen to him. Listen to him. It's a treat. It's a treat.
tough, as we were talking about,
Yeah.
because what I want to do is I want to create conversation that
Yes.
has nothing to do with me.
Right.
I want to
You're
create
just
conversation.
You're just creating
that creates
the
perspective.
environment to have the conversation, and because your gift is opening the door. Your gift is getting you in the room. It's your heart and your passion that's going to captivate this audience.
Well,
I'm telling you.
we'll go as hard as we can.
I'm telling
with
you
it.
guys. Watch Bo. Watch him. Watch
Thank
what God's
you for
going to
watching
do.
this. For those of you that have stuck around and hung out with us, we appreciate you.
Love
I love
you.
you guys.
Love you
Thank you
guys.
for watching. Have an awesome rest of the night. I'm gonna go get some food. I'm hungry. Bye, you guys. We love you.
Bye.